Santayam Samadhanam Undavadaga. My dear 69 batchmates, I am very happy to interact with you through WhatsApps because I was asked to give some clarification by a pharmacologist. So I thought, I am the only pharmacologist coming out of 69 batch. Since Dr. Ismail and Dr. Shahlami, they have come out with the request of knowing something about this serotonin and GABA and also PGs. I thought, I could just share my views with my friends. Well, instead of talking to second year MBBS students, I thought, talking pharmacology, you know it very well. It will cause a lot of morbidity and mortality. So I thought, we will go from a drug perspective because our audience, are well learned and very good practitioners. So we must have seen, cases of migraine in our practice. Migraine, our Professor CUV, that is C.V. Velmurugendran of Department of Neuro Medicine, used to prescribe a drug called sumatriptan. Why he prescribed sumatriptan to migraine cases? Migraine is precipitated by various precipitating factors. The patient has to avoid all the factors, if you want to escape from acute attack. But avoidable facts, precipitating factors, one can avoid. But unavoidable factors, how to avoid. For example, our wife is a precipitating factor, or my girlfriend is a precipitating factor. How to avoid? It's not possible, so you have to manage. So he used to prescribe sumatriptan. How it worked, how migraine precipitated, the precipitating factors, that cause liberation of serotonin or 5-hydroxytryptamine. It's a local hormone. Dr. Munafana has cut, copy, pasted some information about that, which has made my job very easy. It's a neurohumoral transmitter. So this serotonin was first found to be present there in the GIT only, and subsequently it was found to be present in lungs and other parts of the body. Not only that, in CNS also it was found to be subserving certain important, behavior, important actions, concerned with behavior and mood changes. Thus, serotonin is a local hormone. Otherwise, we call this as a pseudo neurohumoral transmitter or false neurohumoral transmitter, because there are two types of transmitters are there, neurohumoral transmitters in the body. One is that true, other one is false. Why it is called as true? These chemicals which are designated to be neurotransmitters must fulfill certain requirements. So the true neurotransmitters will fulfill all the requirements and they are called as true. To cite some examples, there is adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine on the sympathetic side and acetylcholine on the parasympathetic side. But certain chemicals are there, they are produced locally. Then and there, demand arises, they will be produced locally. And they will impact the actions, and after that, immediately they will disappear from that place. They are local dadas, they act as local dadas, but their presence is very much is a must for maintenance of mood, or for causing headache, or for producing vomiting. So these putative transmitters, the 5-hydroxytryptamine or serotonin is coming under that category. To cite some other things, histamine, prostaglandins, SRS, a slow reacting substance in allergy, substance P, all these things, they are coming under these local hormones or putative transmitters. Especially our serotonin or 5-hydroxytryptamine has got its own receptors, 5-HT receptors from 1 to 7 or 8. The 5-1 and 5-2 have got subtypes. 5-1AB and 5-2AB like that. And 5-3 very important receptors from the point of view of stopping the vomiting. So sumatriptan is a non-specific 5-HT antagonist. Why it is called as non-specific? Because it does not antagonize only the 5-HT receptors. It antagonizes other receptors to little or to some noticeable effect, noticeable extent, they are blocking. Like dopamine receptors and cholinergic receptors also, or histamine receptors also will be blocked. In those days, you remember why we used to prescribe one drug for increasing the appetite, cyproheptadine, tablet and syrup was available. Especially when we prescribe the cyproheptadine syrup for increasing appetite, the patient or babies will have very good appetite, they'll start eating very nicely. But biggest sedation is that antihistaminic action, it will produce a lot of sleep and drowsiness. And the patient's parents, baby's parents will not be able to tolerate this, and they will come and complain that my baby has become, though eating very nicely, have started sleeping for a very long time. But now we have got better appetizers, we are not using that cyproheptadine. We have got better antihistaminics for tackling allergy, we are not using cyproheptadine. But those days, in order to prevent or in order to manage migraine attack, those days, it was used. Now better drugs are available. Well, this is the story of 5-HT. When you come to GIT, the carcinoid syndrome, or carcinoid tumor is very important, very nasty carcinoma that used to produce lots of 5-HT or serotonin. That will produce multivarious actions, with reference to BP, perspiration, anxiety, diarrhea. So, early diagnosis, Dr. Surendran will do a complete resection, or Dr. Muthukumar Swamy will go in for chemotherapeutic that is management. When Dr. Muthuswamy resorts to chemotherapeutic management, he has to give importance. Oncologists have to give importance to the side effects, that is main side effects that is produced by anti-cancer drugs, that is vomiting. The excessive vomiting, to that extent, it will not allow the patient to come back if you don't take care of that vomiting. So, for that, we used to give 5-HT3 antagonist, specific antagonist, ondansetron, granisetron, topisetron, these are the drugs that is available. Used to be given intravenously before starting the anti-cancer therapy, 45 minutes or 1 hour before starting the anti-cancer therapy. And even in hyperemesis gravidarum, where excessive vomiting will be there, during pregnancy, you have to resort to anti-vomiting therapy. The patient will go in for dehydration and complications. Well, as far as the mood is concerned, this serotonin is a must. The concentration in the synaptic cleft unit must be maintained at optimum level. Otherwise, if there is deficiency there in the 5-HT hydroxytryptamine or serotonin level in the synaptic cleft in certain areas of brain, patient will go in for anxiety or depression. Not only this serotonin, other neurochemical transmitters also take part, but main thing is that serotonin. So I told you that this cyproheptadine or the drug that was used for this thing, migraine, it's a non-specific one. Non-specific one, they act on other receptors also. We have got some drugs which will act specifically on serotonin in the synaptic cleft. That's the most important thing. Synaptic cleft, when the synaptic cleft is filled with hormones like this, local hormones like hydroxytryptamine, prostaglandins, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all these things. Certain ways are there for the level to come down. One thing is that it will cross the post-synaptic barrier and act on the post-synaptic effector organs. Number 2 is that peripheral dissolution will occur. Number 3 is that metabolism, intracellular and extracellular will occur. By these 3 methods, the level will come down. The fourth and very important method is that, or I would call it as a first and very important method is that, for reduction of these hormones in the synaptic cleft, is the reuptake phenomenon. That means, major part of the hormone is taken back into the neuronal compartment where it was synthesized, where it was stored, where it was released on demand. This is what is called a reuptake phenomenon. We have got certain group of drugs, specific serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs. They are fluoxetine, fluoxamine, citalopram, sertraline, all these things are coming under this. They go and specifically block the reuptake of serotonin by the neuronal fibers, thereby causing increased concentration there in the synaptic cleft. Thereby anxiety is overcome, depression is overcome. But it will take more than 3 weeks for the drugs to get therapeutic concentration in the synaptic. And that's why Murugappan, or our previous professor, Dr. Vaithilingam, used to tell the patients, that is, you must continue the drug therapy for not less than 4 weeks or 3 weeks, then only you must come for review. So it will take such a long time, latent period is there, for the drug to cross all the barriers to reach a concentration there, optimum concentration in the central nervous system. Well, I have told about certain indications, that is management of migraine and management of vomiting and management of depression and anxiety, the role played by 5-hydroxytryptamine and serotonin. Not only that, it is used as ketanserin is one of the drugs that is used in hypertension also. The next neurotransmitter, Munaf has given the information, the GABA aminobutyric acid. In central nervous system, 2 types of neurotransmitters are there. One is the excitatory, other one is inhibitory. Under inhibitory, GABA is very, very important. The balance must be maintained. Otherwise, we won't be having a normal mode. If excitatory neurons activity is more, patient will become, or individual will become hyperactive. If inhibitory neurohumoral transmitters are more, patient will go in for depression and lethargy. That's why in schizophrenia, the mood swing will be there from this side to that side, from hyperactivity to depression, depending upon the level of the excitatory or inhibitory neurohumoral transmitters that is available there in the brain. So this inhibitory, among the inhibitory transmitters, GABA is very, very important. Just like serotonin, it has got GABA has got its own receptor. A well-defined receptor. Receptor is nothing but macromolecule structures that are present on the cell wall or inside the cytoplasm or inside the nucleus or on the nuclear wall. Sometimes enzymes themselves, they lack these receptors. It's something like lock and key. Okay. Key is agonist, key is the drug, and lock is the receptor. When these 2 things join together, if it is fitting with each other, some action will be there, locking and unlocking. Something like that, this receptor will act as a recipient for the agonist. Agonist in the sense here the drugs or internal hormones, whatever it is. And this GABA receptor, very unique receptor, that is, it will look like a 5-petaled flower in the conception. Alpha 1, alpha 2 alpha domains and 2 beta domains and 1 delta domain will be there. 5 domains are there. And different drugs will act on different domains and that will produce different actions. For example, if you take, that is compost or diazepam group of drugs, time immemorial, we are using that compound for in the treatment of insomnia. It's a sedative, it produces sleep, we know that. And it has got its own domain there, that is benzodiazepine receptor domain. Like that, we have got anti-epileptic drugs. Even compost has got an anti-epileptic action. And compost has got anesthetic action. Anti-epileptic drugs are there, so many drugs are there. It will go and facilitate the GABA receptors. Thereby, when they stimulate that domain, what will happen? GABA receptor has got a central core where ionic transmission will occur. That ionic transmission is done by the channel called chloride channel. When the GABA receptors are stimulated, the chloride channel will be open, or the frequency of opening of the chloride channel will occur, and increased amount of chlorine ions it will go inside intracellularly. When lots of chlorine ions goes inside, it produces persistent depolarization in the cell. When a cell is completely depolarized, it becomes very resistant to subsequent bombardment from higher centers. Whatever the strength of the electrical impulses may be, it will not respond to the bombardment. So it will become resistant. So when the cells are immune to cellular stimulation, the hyperactivity, the conduction is blocked, and hyperactivity is reduced, and anxiety is reduced, and that's how the hyperactivity is reduced. This is the mechanism of action of serotonin. If you want to it is the mechanism of action of the GABA. It produces sedation, and it is used as a drug for the treatment of insomnia, anxiety, anesthesia, pre-anesthetic medication, etc. And third thing is that, Ismail was telling, Zara and Chitra were telling some PG prostaglandin inhibitors, and he was referring to paracetamol. Prostaglandins, again, this chemical, it was isolated from the male prostates. That's why it was named as prostaglandin. And later, it was found to be present in almost all the parts of the body. It has got multivarious actions. Like, I'll put, whenever there is cell damage occurs, the cell wall, lipoprotein, that is broken. The cell wall is broken and lipoproteins are liberated. These lipoproteins are acted upon by phospholipid A enzyme, phospholipid A. Phospholipase A. That converts this phospholipase into arachidonic acid irritant. This arachidonic acid has got two pathways. One enters into the cyclooxygenase pathway. That is the name of the enzyme. It is metabolized by cyclooxygenase. Other side, it is lipoxygenase pathway. The enzyme is called a lipoxygenase. The cyclooxygenase pathway, otherwise called a COX pathway, the end products will be prostaglandins. PGE2, PGF2 alpha, like that, so many varieties are there. On the other side, it is leukotrienes. Leukotrienes also, we have got ALT 1 to 10, we have got different types. The main thing is that it will cause smooth muscle spasm. So bronchial spasm is a very important thing. That is the one of the causative factors for the bronchial asthma. So leukotriene antagonists are used, zafarlukast, montelukast with H1 blocker, that is cetirizine, as a preventive measure for bronchial asthma. On the other side is COX, that prostaglandins, they are pro-inflammatory. They produce inflammatory mediators and causes the classical Kahler-Ruber tumor, the pathological signs and symptoms of the inflammation. What we do is that, Ismail was telling, paracetamol was preventing pain. It prevents the prostaglandin synthesis. Paracetamol prevents the prostaglandin synthesis. Aspirin, that prevents. Diclofenac sodium, it prevents. Indomethacin, it prevents. So all this will come under non-inflammatory, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. But steroids will act at the higher level. It will block the conversion of phospholipase into arachidonic acid, and conversion of arachidonic acid into entering into this thing, COX and LOX side. So in the beginning itself, it will block. That's why steroids are also used as anti-inflammatory, and also, though it is not a bronchodilator, it is used in bronchial asthma. Not only that, prostaglandins have got multivarious actions, different systems. Just I'll tell you, in what all the places where it is used, as far as then you can understand. that is, it is, Jara was referring to that, because he was a physician, so she would have been interested in the prostaglandins used as an abortifacient. The second trimester of pregnancy, where the uterus, it is not sensitive to oxytocin. These prostaglandin substitutes, they are used intravaginally as a gel or tablet or sticks to cause priming of the cervix and also to cause increased contraction of the uterus. Thereby, the immature fetus in the second trimester, it is thrown out. Thereby, they are doing it, MTP, that is medical termination of pregnancy. Postpartum hemorrhage, when excessive bleeding is there, the prostaglandins are used. Like that, for induction of labor also, they are using these prostaglandins in OG. Surendran will be using prostaglandin analogs as anti-ulcer agents. Like that, in vascular surgeon people, that is peripheral vascular disease, it is used as a peripheral vascular dilators. Ophthalmologists, they are using it for increased IOT, that is glaucoma. And physicians, they will use it in pulmonary hypertension. And also, most of us 69 people, I hope, they are not suffering from this condition. ED. ED is a very important condition. Alprostatidil, that is also PG analog, that is used intravenously for long performance, very long duration of performance, intravenously. And if you find it difficult to inject intravenously, you can, that is intraurethral, suppositors are available. So, insert the alpoprostadil suppositories and you can satisfy as many as partners you wish. I think our 69 batch will not ask any more questions on pharmacology, because if I talk pharmacology, the mortality and morbidity is more. That's why I don't talk pharmacology to my friends, only to my students, unfortunate students. Thank you for listening to me. If you appreciate, the credit goes to God. If you don't like it, I don't know what to say it. Since Shaflamir, my son, pseudo-son, asked me to talk on this, I talked. Thank you very much. Bye.